I mean, who am I kidding? We do not need an excuse to read about witches. I mean, after all, if we, with our kind of mindsets and perspectives, were living even a few centuries ago, we probably would have been burnt at the stake. So today we're going to talk about this best-selling novel that is about a girl living in a few centuries ago France, at the time zone where witches were being hunted down and burnt at the pyre. Yes, Serpent and Dove, and yeah, finally I have a physical copy of what I'm going to talk about. Serpent and Dove is the story of Louise, who is a witch in hiding in the time being where witches in France are being hunted down and burnt at the pyre. In this world building, magic can be smelled, and in order to get away from her own kin and also stay away from the witch hunters, she hasn't practiced magic for about 2 years. But something comes at the stake, a tool that can protect her from the rest of the witches, from whatever strong curse they could apply to her. And in order to get that, she risks everything, which puts her in the path of the church and a witch hunter. I think the novel came out a year and a half ago or something like that. And at the time being, it was really hyped. I saw it a lot on TikTok. Obviously, I was very excited about it, especially since I was really fond of the books of one of the people who had wrote a blurb about it. So I bought it, and I read the chapter, and I DNFed it. This is me, who hardly DNFs anything. You know what I didn't like about the chapters was that I kind of felt like, I don't know what I felt was a miss, but I couldn't really care about them. I mean, it started out at something really intense. The characters were trying to eavesdrop on some very important conversation. Some things were at high stake. They could end up in a really bad situation. They were sort of playing with fire, literally. I don't know why I didn't really care about them, but like last week, I wanted to free some space in my personal library because there is literally none. And so I decided to give away some of my books with a lower price. I mean, one of the things I'm really proud of is the fact that I keep my books better than any library, better than any bookshop. That's how careful I am. They're literally new. You know, then I thought I would really love to give this one more chance. I don't know why, maybe it was out of self-torture or whatever, because I tend to do that a lot. So I started it, and this time, even through the first chapter that I realized I hadn't finished the first time, I got hooked. Kinda. Maybe in the beginning I still wasn't so sure what I actually had gotten myself into, but somewhere around when inciting incident happened, I kind of realized, because guys, nobody talks about this, but this book is so freaking funny. If I could name one thing that I really loved about this book, it was a sense of humor. It's not realistic, especially if you consider that sort of time zone, that sort of situation. I had read other historical fiction books set in that time in Europe where the church ruled the countries, and you know, it's such a dark time. If it was going to be realistic, it wouldn't have been this lighthearted. But this is such a pleasant read. It was really light. I enjoyed it. And let me just tell you, to the extent that one time I had to bite on my own arm in order to avoid bursting into laughter at the very inappropriate time. So that's the connection I had with the book. So I could say that I really, really love the middle, and also like the first act. The third act, though, where some secrets were being revoked, it kind of felt like it had gotten a little bit out of the control of the author, because, you know, during the second act I had, and also like halfway through the third act, I was like, maybe I'm gonna rate it 5 stars. I'm gonna forgive few things that are not that acceptable. But the end of the book, it did kind of feel like all these struggles and multiple characters were getting a bit hard to control for the author. And one thing that I really if I could change one thing, I would change the resolution. Like, all of these characters went through some really horrible shit. But they had their resolution here. They talked through it. I think if they had waited for things to settle and maybe had postponed the conversation to the second book, I would have been more willing to just jump right into it. But when I finished it, I was like, nah. I really liked it, but nah. Though now that a few days have passed, I'm like, I kind of liked the style, and I think, I mean, this was her debut novel, and if she's going to preserve the strength points here and just make it better and better, I'm going to eventually find something written by her that I'm going to love with my whole heart. So I am going to continue down this trilogy, but not right away, because I think the resolution should have been given more time in the third act, and also because I think I'm kind of guessing that since the second installment is called Blood and Honey, it's referred to Coco, Cosette. Most of the time I don't really connect with stories where one book is about this couple and the next is about that couple, because the huge mistake that most of authors do, and it's not just about amateurs, it's also about people who have like 15 books out, is that they spend like chunk of the other installments still romanticizing the first couple. Like, yeah, we got it, they're good, just shut up. I kind of fear that, but eventually I'm going to move on and read the rest, because, you know, this question that sometimes people get asked and is, which fictional character would you like to be friends with? Most of the time I would be a little bit hesitant, because I either don't like a character or I found them really similar to myself. I already have friends who are like myself, like there's nothing special about this, but here, Lou, like, I would want to be friends with her. She was so sweet and kind-hearted and funny, and yeah, generally speaking, this book is going to be an enjoyable read, but do not jump in expecting anything. Like, if you see here that Shahrzad has written a blurb, do not expect it to be like real steamy or like that sort of adventure. I would say like the character here was indeed cheeky, but cheeky in a pleasant way, not cheeky in an arrogant way that somehow nobody can get enough of. I kind of like the charisma here. The author wasn't trying to force you to believe that, yeah, everybody loved this character and that's why you should love her too. No. And I would say it's not like what you would expect from Shahrzad or some of those authors that this book might have been compared to, because that's what we readers do. We just file books together and say, if you like this, you're going to like this. Maybe come here, approach this without any sort of expectation, and you're going to enjoy it far more. About the smut, because when I posted it in my stories that it is my current reading, people were going to be like, how steamy is it? I would first say that the romance was really, really well developed. Like, really well. I did not expect that, because somehow it's one of the things that is always rushed. Most of the authors would force so much proximity onto these characters that you could somehow mistake their proximity for the fact that they're good for each other. Like, this is not that. I really, really enjoyed the progression of the romance. There was one sex scene. I would say it was good, but it wasn't anything descriptive. Not even extreme words were used. It didn't go that much into details, but it was sweet. But it's not something like you could pick because of, you know, having a fun, smutty time. One thing that kind of pissed me off, the plot twist was revealing of a truth that had happened in the main character's past. And I had already guessed it in the beginning. So it didn't come with much surprise. If you're looking for something with like very detailed word building, a very detailed spicy romance, a very serious book where everything is reasoned with that time zone and situation, this might not be for you. But if you're looking for some really light-hearted romance, very good written romance, sweet one, and funny, consider this. Also tell me what kind of new witchy book have you read that I enjoyed, because I feel like we are always recommending the same old books, and I mean, all these people are writing new things. I've been seeing some really interesting blurbs about rom-com witchy books, and I'm like, that's just the right kind of mixture. And I would like to know about them more. I'm gonna try them out, but I would also like to know your opinion, which you would recommend. And before my source fills up again, thank you so much for watching this episode on Shahrzad Stories channel. I'm Shahrzad, and I hope I'll see you later. Bye.